Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, as kidnapping and banditry ramps up in the country, some communities engage in self-help. TCN restores power to Sokoto to reconnect Kebbi in a few days. 5 dead, 12 injured in multiple crashes on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And away from Nigeria, Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso established Sahel Security Alliance. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I'm Aisha Salihu. We begin with security matters where the district head of Year 1 Duguri in Bauchi State, Mohammed Baba, has said his subjects are ready to launch an attack on kidnappers' hideout that has been terrorizing the communities along Yankari Forest in Al-Kalari local government area. The traditional ruler made the remark at his palace after 10 kidnappers were neutralized and about 39 kidnapped victims rescued by the joint efforts of the police and hunters under Operation Sharan Daji in the area. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports.
The district head, while receiving the state governor Bala Mohammed and the security chiefs as well as 39 victims in his palace, appreciated the joint security over the prompt action on the threat by the kidnappers. The neutralized kidnappers were gunned down during an engagement with the joint security outfit, which recorded huge success, promising that no retreat, no surrender until they rid their domain of the deadly kidnappers. This is just the beginning of clamp down on the kidnappers in our area. We knew they have informant. We will not wait for them any longer. We are ready to fight them to the end. We can launch an onslaught on their hideout. If they thought otherwise, they should pack and leave our enclave or face the consequences of attacks. We must thank our gallant police, security and vigilante hunters for their resistance. One of the rescue abductees, Muhammad Sardauna, narrates their experiences while in captivity of the kidnappers, which he said had demanded for about 50 million naira each of their families as ransom. We already started losing hope. We all die. Started losing hope. We will all die. Then I heard a voice of our vigilante saying, "No, don't move up. We have come to rescue. Don't panic." Then I thanked God. So from there, they started exchanging gunfire with the kidnappers, and they subdued them. Reacting to the gallant efforts of the joint security outfit, the state governor Bala Mohammed commended them for the feat, just as he warned against any form of conspiracy, noting that anyone found wanting will be dealt with decisively. The governor also handed over 20 million naira to the community and 50 motorcycles to aid their local security operatives.
Calling on the traditional institution and small and other leaders at all the levels to avoid conspiracy and compromise, because these bandits are coming in and sometimes they have fertile ground from people that are around. I want to inform you that we are working with the security agencies to bring CIDs who will be going into the villages to find out those people that are conniving with the bandits, because those people are worse than the bandits. You have heard that about 10 have been neutralized.
Earlier, the State Commissioner of Police, Awal Mohammed, through the Command Public Relations Officer Ahmed Wakil, said preliminary investigation revealed that the kidnappers invaded Gaji village with specific target to abduct some businessmen on their way back home from Maraba Liman Katagum weekly market. The State Police Chief assures the citizens of Bauchi that the war against crimes and criminality will be a success. Adami Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Meanwhile, a member of staff of the Damba General Hospital, Aisha Suleiman, and her 12-year-old daughter, Khadija Mahmoud Amani, who were abducted a month ago by armed bandits in the Damba area of Gusau in Zamfara State, have regained freedom. Husband of the victim, Aisha, Salisu Isa, confirmed the release of his wife and daughter while speaking exclusively with Trust TV News. He said the victims, who spent 4 weeks in captivity, were freed Saturday night after payment of an undisclosed amount of money as ransom. Issa blamed the government's failure to take the war to the doorstep of the armed bandits as reason behind the escalation of the abduction of innocent citizens in the state for ransom. He, however, revealed that the armed bandits said they were tired of carrying out banditry activities and wanted to negotiate with the government so that they could surrender their arms. Issa appealed to the government to intensify efforts in the fight against banditry in Zamfara State and bring to an end the incessant abductions. Bandits who abducted the victims had earlier demanded for the sum of 50 million naira as ransom for their release. The Plateau State chapter of Jamaatul Nasser Islam has accused the state government of excluding Muslims amongst the beneficiaries of the 500 million naira support donated by the wife of the president, Oluremi Tinubu. The First Lady had on Tuesday, during her visit to sympathize with the people of the state over the recent killings and attacks, presented the check of 500 million naira to Governor Caleb Mutfwang to be disbursed to 500 families of the victims in 6 local government areas of the state. But the JNI says Muslims who were victims of the crisis were not captured in the list submitted to the First Lady, a claim the state government has denied. Trust TV's Adomusa reports.
More than 300 people were killed and hundreds displaced in various attacks and killings in villages of Bassa, Jos North, Riom, Bokos, Barikiladi and Mongu local government areas of the state. To ease the sufferings of the affected victims, the wife of the president donated the sum of 500 million naira to the victims of the crisis, adding that the disbursement is part of the gesture of the Renew Hope initiative under the office of the First Lady. Reacting to the support by the JNI in the state, the group secretary, Dr. Salim Musa, accused the state government of excluding Muslims in the list, an allegation that the State Commissioner of Information, Musa Ashams, denied, saying that the selection has no bearing with religion or ethnicity.
The state government is just trying to be clever by half. It's not the right thing. What we did as representative of the Muslim Ummah is to encourage the state government to be fair, to rise up to her responsibility. The governor, as a father to all, irrespective of tribe or religion, should be able to carry everybody alone. We advise him to look at the list and correct, make amends, so that all the Muslim victims will also feel that sense of belonging. Unfortunately, in trying to manage the fallout of this list, they are just trying to mislead people further. It's very unfortunate. The state government is not doing anything that will carry every Muslim along.
The JNI secretary further said it is not too late for the state government to review the list and ensure fairness.
It's not too late to make amends. They should go back to the drawing board. We have Muslims that are affected in Mangu local government. We have Muslims that are affected in Bokos. We have Muslims that are affected in Riom and Barikiladi, including Bassa and Jos South. There is no reason why you don't have one single Muslim that is affected. And the office of the First Lady did not specify that you should give it to the Christians alone. They said victims of the crisis. So why are you denying the Muslims at least, even if it is 10% or 15%, you have to include them. They are there, they are victims, they are affected. So we are calling on the state government to do the needful. It's not the issue of coming out to debunk the list. You compile the list and submit it to the office of the First Lady. You cannot defend the indefensible. We have the list, it is authentic, it had the seal of the office of the First Lady with the state government. So go and review this list and then include the Muslims. That is all we are asking for.
According to the First Lady, each family of the victim is to be given 1 million naira to cushion the effect of the various attacks and killings in the affected local government areas. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Governor Abdullahi Saleh of Nasarawa State has refuted claims that his recent visit to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and other ministers in Abuja was to seek for their help in influencing tribunal judgment on the state governorship election. The denial came through the senior publication where Governor Peter Ahimba while addressing journalists in Lafia, the state capital. Recall that Trust TV reports that the Nasarawa State chapter of the People's Democratic Party had advised the Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Saleh to allow President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and former Rivers State Governor, now FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, to face governance instead of dragging them into politics of Nasarawa State. But reacting to the allegation of shopping for support, spokesperson for the governor, insists his recent visit to the FCT minister was to seek for collaboration with the FCT administration for a metro line from Apo to Kefi, as well as a partnership to build the 13,000 hectares at Guruku and Kabusu mega city that is only about 5 kilometers away from Maitama 2.
Media publication wherein the state chairman of the opposition People's Democratic Party, Mr. Francis Orogu, was quoted to have called on His Excellency Engineer Abdullahi Sule, the governor of Nasarawa State and chairman of the North Central Governors Forum, not to drag President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Barrister Nyesom Wike and others, into the politics of Nasarawa State. According to the state PDP chairman, the recent visit by the state governor to the FCT minister was to seek his support towards securing a favorable judgment at the governorship election petition tribunal sitting in Lafia. His Excellency Governor Abdullahi Sule is not in any way surprised at this deliberate falsehood by the opposition party, as such has been the antics of the opposition party in the state and its style of politics, which the governor views as a normal behavior of any opposition political party, especially one that has suffered defeat for 4 consecutive times.
The All Progressives Congress Party in Plateau State has reacted to the rejection of the recent judgments by the National Assembly Election Petition Tribunal, which sacked a PDP senator and 3 other members of the House of Representatives. Trust TV reports that the state PDP chairman, Chris Hassan, had rejected the nullification of the election of the PDP senator and reps member. The party chieftain had at a press conference while rejecting the judgments alleged that justice was not served on the matter. The report.
Soon after the nullification of the election and the declaration of the candidates of the APC and LP as winners of the election, some PDP groups staged peaceful protests against the judgments. Reacting to the PDP's position, the APC in the state described the rejection of the judgment as an attempt to blackmail the judiciary, noting that a tribunal in the state had ruled some cases against the candidates of their party, but decided to appeal the case rather than taking such route.
It is important to state that before the Justice B.M. Tukur-led tribunal's meticulous, fair and just pronouncements, there were previous judgments by the second tribunal, presided over by Justice Rotimi Williams, who ruled against the APC and Labour Party in spite of overwhelming evidence and established position of the law. Interestingly, in our usual propensity for respect of court orders and judicial decisions, though dissatisfied with the judgments, we accepted them in good faith without raising any doubts, but preferring instead to appeal such judgments at the appeal tribunals as constitutionally stipulated. No doubt, it is a shame that the PDP-led government in the state, as a preemptive move and organized mischief, is involved in mobilizing hoodlums to harass and intimidate tribunal judges ahead of the remaining judgment.
The All Progressive Congress in the state, however, advised the PDP to seek redress at the Court of Appeal if feels dissatisfied with any of the judicial outcomes, calling on security agencies to intervene to avoid needless cycle of violence in the state. Ado Musa, Trust TV News.
Despite the level of exposure and education amongst the people, age-long practice of forced and arranged marriage still exists in most communities who see nothing wrong with the tradition. But how much do people know about the negative consequences of this practice, especially where the couples are not compatible? Trust TV's Hamido Yegbade speaks with people in Oshogbo, the Osun State capital.
Forced and arranged marriages were common practice among people in some communities around the world. Its practice is not only applicable to people of young age, it does happen to adults as well. This practice is common among the rich, in which young male and female who do not share love or consent to marriage are joined in marriage so as to protect certain interests.
I want to say forced marriage or arranged marriage. It's done maybe because of the friendship, of the relationship on ground for the people. They don't want to go too far or to the extreme. They don't want to go to an unknown family, that they don't know the background, that they don't know their people.
Ideally, forced marriage is not something that we should encourage in our society. Because again, when you look at the high level of marital problems and divorces that we witness nowadays in society, of course, we discover that most of these are as a result of forced marriage that of course, that have become so prevalent in society. And that is also a pointer to the fact that yes, forced marriage should not be encouraged.
Scripturally, it is allowed. For example, Abraham arranged a wife for Isaac. He gave instruction to his servant that he should go to his kinsmen and find wife for his son.
Though not specific to a particular ethnic group, nationality, or background, victims of forced marriage cut across boundaries, race, and geographic affiliations. While it works for some, after years of living together with their spouses, many are not lucky, as they end up with either broken homes or shattered marital dreams and expectations.
We now have joining us virtually Baratu Nasidi, a life coach, community development analyst, and girl child advocate. Thank you for speaking with us.
Hello, thank you very much.
Although it may be difficult to wrap one's head around it, in this day and age, we still have forced or arranged marriages. What impact are these practices having on the marriage institution in the country?
Thank you for having me. Forced marriages, I would say, I would like to first of all make a distinction that forced marriages are marriages that are done without the consent of either of the spouses, and arranged marriages are arranged by the parents, usually like the forced marriages. But in this case, the spouses are allowed to either accept or decline this proposal. So for forced marriages, I would say that there are a lot of impacts affecting it. First of all, there is the social impact. A lot of times when people, mostly women, are forced into marriages, they do not socialize per se. They are fixed or kept in a particular place, because in some cases the women run away. So they are not allowed to socialize. They are not allowed to live freely because, maybe the family or whoever it is that forced them into the marriage feel they might say something or leave, even run away. So there's the social impact. There's the psychological impact. A lot of people go into depression. Unfortunately, some even go as far as committing suicide. We've seen cases where some end up killing the husband because, they are forced into the situation, and, it has a serious issue, its impact on their mental health. And then there's the economic problem. This is it keeps you in a box. They keep them in a box in such a way that they are powerless. They cannot usually do anything financially to be able to help themselves or help their family or society. There are a lot of impacts actually, but I want to just say that forced marriages are very, very harmful. It doesn't matter where the society is and what reason the family or the society is given for it. I don't think it should be encouraged at all.
Okay, I like the fact that you gave a distinction between forced and arranged marriages, and you've also stated violence and economic impact amongst other consequences that could come with these kind of marriages. Now, let us look at even marriages that are contracted by mutual consent. They are under siege because of changing societal priorities. So how much of a success do these kind of unions have?
Okay, so for a marriage to work, from my experience, I believe you have to have the same values. most of people do look at marriage from the love aspect, and they forget that for you to be compatible, you have to have the same interests, you have to have the same values, and you should have the same goals. So even if this marriage is a contract marriage or a love marriage, if you do not have the foundation for a marriage, when you're looking at the spouse and you're not looking at these important things like values that you have, your priorities, and similarities, then there might be a problem in the future.
Okay. Now, so let us break it down. What are the problems that bedevil forced marriages and also fundamental human rights being breached in the process?
Okay, so talked about psychological issues. This is a very serious issue. A lot of mental health issues, reproductive issues, social issues. A lot of forced marriages end up in divorce or abuse. A lot of forced marriages are toxic. It's either the abuse is physical or mental, psychological, and there are other things like violation of personal freedom for that person and lack of consent. This is a serious issue, especially when it comes to human rights, because freedom is everybody's fundamental right. So if you don't have freedom, you are not even treated as a human. You're not treated as an equal.
Okay, so now, just very quickly, on the other hand, do arranged marriages stand a better chance of working because they are arrangements between families?
Okay, so most of the times, arranged marriages, like forced marriages, comes from the family. It comes because you have something in common with a particular set of people that's from the parents. Sometimes it does work. But the thing is, it's the foundation that matters. I talked about having the right values, looking at the right things in a marriage, looking at the similarities, sharing interest and the rest of them. These are things that would help you find a good foundation, understanding, especially for the men, that your wife is your partner. She is your partner, and she's someone that is here to be your confidant. So
Thank you so much for speaking with us. We were speaking there with Baratu Nasidi, a life coach, community development analyst, and also the girl-child advocate on the implications of forced or arranged unions on the marriage institution in Nigeria. Now, the Bayelsa State government says the state is yet to feel the impact of the promises made by the federal government to address the economic crisis caused by the fuel subsidy removal months after. The technical advisor to Governor Doye Diri on Treasury, Revenue and Accounts, Timipre Seipolo, stated this during the state transparency briefing for the months of June and July 2023. Friday, Bimobowe Peter has the report.
According to Seipolo, contrary to expectation, the removal of fuel subsidy has not resulted in an increase in derivation fund from the Federal Account Allocation Committee (FAC). Seipolo, however, confirmed receipt of 2 billion naira palliative funds from the federal government and assured that the state government was mapping out an all-inclusive plan for the distribution of the fund.
Fuel subsidy palliative. The state government has received 2 billion. When the transparency of August is given, you will see the report of that, because the money was received in August. 2 billion has been received, and government is already making efforts to come up with a full program on the for the palliatives for the state. The fuel subsidy removal and all of that, and the allocations have increased materially, but you will see the figures we have called have not reflected that expectation. If you look at April, if you look at your April report, our FAC receipts net was about 23 billion. In May, it's 21 billion. In June, 19 billion. July, 21 billion. And even in August, it's even less than that.
At the close of July, the state coffers had a balance of 1.436 billion naira after recurrent and capital expenditures. Friday, Ebimobowe Peter, Trust TV News, Yanagwa.
Meanwhile, the new buses provided by the Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum as part of the government's palliatives have crashed transport fares across the Maiduguri metropolis. Despite the fuel subsidy removal, which hiked prices of transport fares and increased prices of commodities, Maiduguri residents are now paying just 15 naira to any destination within the capital. Beatrice Kurutsi reports that keke drivers are envious because they're losing passengers to these buses.
In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
The flag off of the 70 buses is among the numerous accomplishments of the state government, marking the first 100 days of Governor Zulum's second term. The new buses, which have started plying the Maiduguri metropolis, are to help address the cost of transportation for residents in Maiduguri. This afternoon, passengers didn't mind waiting for hours for the arrival of the bus at strategic points. Some residents said they opted to wait because the buses are affordable, unlike the usual keke rides where they are charged over 150 naira.
The masses are suffering. There is sometimes the transport, you won't have any money to transport yourself, and begging, there is no way you can beg for them to accept due to the fuel rising. So that is what I see. The governor has made a helpful for the masses, and I'm sure they know about it, and they are feeling it now.
We are very happy to see providing this wonderful development to us. Before he did well to us. That is why we do not say may God bless him.
An samu reduction a transportation sosai. Da ba ana biya 150 zuwa university or so, ba yanzu 50 naira suke charging ba. An rage sosai.
The fuel subsidy withdrawal, since it was implemented, impacted the lives of Nigerians negatively, with the transportation sector among the hardest hit. This forced commercial transport operators like keke riders to increase fares. With new buses in town, it has caused envy and reduced the daily proceeds for keke napep riders.
Akan farashi mai sauki naira 50 suna biya, wai din suna shan wahala suna biyan napep 150. Shine an kawo musu sauki wai su dinga biyan 50 naira. To duk da haka dai mu bari ana mu cin abinci ba. Bakin da Allah tsaka din koda da zai bashi abincin da zai ci.
This development will not stop us from surviving the economy, because we have our own various ways to survive. Surely it's to alleviate the suffering of the poor masses, but what caused this hardship? It's because the subsidy removal. If they can reverse that, that will be much better. But they did this for their own interest. Look at it critically. You will buy fuel at the high price and you will pay the bus drivers at the end. For me, it's purely politics.
To gashi na zo an kawo muri ma muna lallabawa shi din ma yanzu an kashe mana aiki. Aikin mu ba yamma ba wani aikin da muke yi.
Just managing life, they suddenly brought new buses again to affect our businesses. We only make profits in the evening time because that's when we get enough passengers. And look at Botma. Any traffic offense, we will spend so much. We just want them to make things easy for us. Now we spend hours without getting passengers. We can't reduce our transport fares because if you do, you will be at loss. Maiduguri residents are hopeful that the new trend will be sustained until things get better in Nigeria. Beatrice Kurutsi, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
The need to create a government that prioritizes the needs of most vulnerable members of the society with the aim of bringing about meaningful change and social equality is one of the cardinal issues addressed in the book, Disruption, Rethinking Governance to Work for the Poor. The book is authored by Mohamed Sani Abdullahi Datijo, one of the nominees for Deputy Governor of the CBN by President Bola Tinubu. Noel Samson, who had a chat with the author during the official public presentation, has more.
The book challenges conventional thinking about governance and presents innovative approaches to address the needs of the poor.
Well, Disruption is a book that we launched about a couple of months ago. And it's a book about governance, and particularly around how we can actually rethink governance in Nigeria and other parts of Africa to focus on really the people that we're serving, the poor. So it walks through particularly subnational governance and how a lot of these issues that we gloss over in Nigeria and other parts of the world are actually very critical and important. The book has a lot from my own experience, first of all as a policy advisor in the United Nations, later on as commissioner for budget and planning in Kaduna, and then chief of staff to the governor. So it has a lot of those lessons from a really grassroots level about how development can really be improved and accelerated. The book has been very well received. I'm thankful to my publishers, Almara Publishing, led by Hadiza Ismail Rufai, and it's really been doing well, and I urge everyone to get a copy.
I think this is a very, very important book, particularly at this point in time in the history of our country. It is about disruption. You know, sometimes when you want to improve something, you first of all need to do some disruptions and start with a different mindset. I urge everyone, especially those in governance, to buy a copy of this book and read it, because it will really, really be very helpful. And thankfully, we can see with the new government we have in place, certain disruptions have already started happening. And I trust that there will be a lot of improvement in the way that we have been governing this country in the past.
The book is divided into 11 chapters, with each chapter speaking to a specific subject but interconnected with the others. The author, prior to his nomination as a deputy governor in the Central Bank, once served as a commissioner for budget and planning in Kaduna State and later became chief of staff to the then governor Nasiru El-Rufai during his second 4-year term. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Away from that, prices of foodstuff have crashed in Taraba State, according to Daily Trust finding. This followed the bumper harvest recorded in all the 16 local government areas of the state. So far, crops harvested in the state include maize, rice, yam, Irish potatoes, early maturing beans, cassava, melon seed, millet, and Bene seed. Findings also showed that 100 kilogram bag of maize sold few weeks ago at the rate of 60,000 naira is now sold between 28,000 naira to 20,000 naira, depending on the locations of the markets. Similarly, 100 kilogram bag of dried cassava, which became major foodstuff among the residents, sold at the rate of 28,000 naira, is now sold at the rate of 14,000 naira. Prices of yam, millet and rice also crashed across the state. The finding further revealed Taraba State is witnessing uninterrupted rainfall, which farmers said was responsible for the bumper harvest being witnessed across the state. Daily Trust finding further revealed that middlemen are making bulk purchase of newly harvested crops in markets across the state, prompting concerns the prices may soon go up again. You're watching the News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at attributes to rise in failed marriages. Details of this story and more to come after the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust TV. Now let's take a look at a recap of some of our stories. You heard as kidnapping and banditry ramps up in the country, some communities engage in self-help. TCN restores power to Sokoto to reconnect Kebbi in a few days. And now to more news stories. The Transmission Company of Nigeria said it has restored bulk power supply to Sokoto State. It added that its engineers are working to extend the power restoration to Kebbi State and other areas affected by the burning KB substation fire incident. A release by TCN General Manager, Public Affairs, Ndidi Mba, said the bulk power supply to Sokoto State was reinstated through the Talata Marafa substation. According to TCN, its engineering team, along with the Managing Director and CEO and the Executive Director, Transmission Service Provider, are on site, putting in every effort to reconnect Kebbi and its environs to the grid through another substation. The statement also said TCN engineers are working to transfer load to the 150 MVA and 60 MVA power transformers in the substation unaffected by the fire, while cables are being rearranged and reinforcement teams from other TCN regions have arrived at the substation with the necessary materials to expedite repair work. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the use of concrete road technology for the construction of roads across the country as it is durable and cost-effective. The president also gives a nod for the construction of coastal highways under the government's Highways Development Management Initiative. Minister of Works David Umahi said this to State House correspondents after meeting with President Tinubu at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Umahi says the time has come for all contractors working in Nigeria to ensure that they strictly respect the global rights best practices in engineering that enhance the durability of all construction work, both for roads and bridges, with the best quality of materials being used. The minister, who frowned at situations where some contracts have been ongoing for 20 years, said it was not good for the contractors, projects and the clients. The minister said at the moment, federal government has up to 14 trillion naira ongoing projects against 18,000 kilometers across the country, adding that with the renewed hope mantra, contractors must complete projects within 4 years.
Our concrete road technology we have designed will take any load. That if you're able to put tires and then carry load, the concrete technology is going to take it. I'm aware that the contractors have been quarreling and arguing and, so I want to declare that I'm open for any kind of blackmail, but my eyes are on the ball. And my eyes are, how do we get Nigerians to have value for their money? And that is the assignment President Bola Ahmed Tinubu gave to me. And I'm going to do that with the fear of God. Any other president possibly will come and abandon the ongoing projects and will start his projects. But we have not initiated one single project.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has approved the nomination of Dr. Jamila Bayo Ibrahim to serve as the Minister of Youth, pending her confirmation by the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In a statement released by the Special Advisor to the President in Media and Publicity, Tinubu has also approved the nomination of Mr. Ayodele Olawande to serve as the Minister of State for Youth, pending his confirmation by the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Dr. Jamila Bayo Ibrahim is a young medical doctor and most recently served as the president of the Progressive Young Women Forum. She has also served as the Senior Special Assistant to the Kwara State Governor on Sustainable Development Goals. Ayodele Olawande is a community development expert and youth leader in the governing All Progressives Congress. He most recently served in the office of the Special Advisor to the President on Innovation from 2019 to 2023. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu charges the above-mentioned nominees to ensure that they consistently reflect the dynamism, innovative zeal, and unyielding productivity that are synonymous with the young people of Nigeria as they discharge their duties. And on to security matters, a middle-aged man, Nafiu Sabei, has been convicted and sentenced to 6 months imprisonment for stealing 6 cartons of Maltina in Yola, Adamawa State. The jail delivery committee convicted and sentenced Nafiu after he had voluntarily confessed to the crime of which he was arrested and remanded. The committee, headed by the Chief Judge, Honorable Justice Hafsat Abdurrahman, sentenced the accused when her committee visited Jamaica Correctional Center, where the accused was remanded. Earlier, Nafiu told the committee that he had stolen the drinks at the Jamaica Ultra-Modern Market and regretted his action. He said that he had stolen the drinks at the market in August 2023 and pleaded with the committee to pardon him and promised not to steal again. And away from that, Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has filed a lawsuit against President Bola Tinubu over what they called his failure to stop the former governors who are now serving as ministers in his administration from collecting life pensions and other retirement benefits from their states while they serve as ministers. The ministers who mentioned in the suit are Badaru Abubakar, Nyesom Wike, Bello Matawale, Adegboyega Oyetola, and David Umahi. Others are Simon Lalong, Atiku Bagudu, and Ibrahim Gaidam. Serap said the ministers are to be joined in the suit as defendants. Serap is seeking an order of mandamus to direct and compel President Tinubu to instruct the former governors who are now serving as ministers to forthwith return any pensions and retirement benefits collected by them since leaving office to the public treasury. According to Serap, while many pensioners are not paid their pensions, former governors serving as ministers get paid huge severance benefits upon leaving office and are poised to enjoy double emoluments on top of the opulence of political office holders. No date has been fixed for the hearing of the suit. 5 persons have died with 12 others injured in multiple crashes on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway in Ogun State. It was gathered that the accident happened in the early hours of Sunday around the 4 Square camp in Ajabo, a village in Obafemi, Owode local government area of the state. The Ogun State Sector Command of the Federal Road Safety Corps confirmed the incident. FRSC spokesman in the state, Florence Okwe, said a total of 21 persons were involved in the multiple crashes. The multiple crashes involved 3 vehicles with registration numbers KMC 810ZB, a DAF truck, TMA 244XA, a Toyota bus, and a Mitsubishi pickup with no registration number on it. The suspected causes of the crash were speed, tire burst, and loss of control on the part of the truck driver whose vehicle crashed and occupied the road, and others were running into the crashed vehicle. The injured victims were said to have been taken to Victory Hospital, Ogere, for medical attention, while the corpses were deposited at FOS Morgue, Ipara. On his part, the Ogun FRSC Sector Commander Anthony Uga advised motorists to shun the use of substandard tires and also apply common sense speed limit, especially in this rainy season. He also sympathized with the families of the victims and enjoined them to visit the FRSC Ogun Marking Unit for more information about the crash. The Kwara State Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak has charged security agencies in the state to unravel the cause of the death of a 27-year-old journalist, Yusuf Mubarak, who was allegedly murdered in Ilorin, the state capital. The body of the late journalist was discovered in Ilorin on Saturday. The governor, in a statement by his chief press secretary, Rafiu Ajakaye, released to newsmen, described as shocking and saddening the death of Mubarak under hazy circumstances that the governor said must be investigated by security agencies. Mubarak, a new media personality who hails from Ilorin, according to a statement from the government house, went missing on Wednesday night, but his lifeless body was eventually found around the Unity Road area of the state capital on Saturday. The Kwara State PDP also commiserates with family and friends over Mubarak's death, just as the party decries resurgence of cult-related killings in Ilorin. And now residents of Owerri, the Imo State capital, have attributed the rise in failed marriages across the country to forced and arranged unions. To this end, they are calling on Nigerians to shun the habit of forcing or arranging marriages on people to avoid unions that will crash in the future. Ajibade, our official, has the details in this report.
Marriage is a legally consummated union between a man and a woman. It often comes with the consent of both parties, regulated by laws, rules, customs, beliefs, and traditions of parties involved. Despite being sacred and intended to last a lifetime, it is, however, worrisome that some marriages are now devoid of these significant factors. These women say such marriages are either forced or arranged without absolute consent of the man or the woman, adding that most times such unions end in bitterness.
Forced marriage or arranged marriage. When you hear such word, it means that there is no total agreement or consent of the person going into such relationship. Therefore, it might likely crash in the nearest future.
When people are linked together, there's no connection between the both parties, and that is where you have all manner of issues coming up. Do you understand? In marriage, there's so much disagreement. There's no agreement between the man because they don't even know themselves. They don't understand themselves at all.
According to the women, poverty, covetousness, and ignorance are major reasons why people go into forced marriage.
Some want to be what they are not up to. They will not allow what God have for them to come to pass. They just want to wake up. I want to be the wife of a president. I want to be the wife of a governor. I want to be the wife of my husband be this, that comparison. You know, when they are not real, that is why the fake came in.
I'm the woman, the man should pay for all my bills, should take care of me. And so you have that kind of mentality and you go into it because you have not clarified the expectations. You have also not clarified the fact that for every right you have a responsibility. What are my responsibilities? What are my rights?
Some men who also spoke on the matter said forced marriages should be discouraged in their entirety, as they do not represent the interests of the spouses.
It's common amongst parents who are not well enlightened. Maybe they feel that man has money, or is influential in society, or is the type of person that can give them all they want materially, not minding how their child will feel where she's going.
Yeah, one of the problems or cause of forced marriage is poverty. When, especially in the villages, in the rural community, where parents are very poor. So what they end up doing is to betroth son to a man who is wealthy.
From the submissions of the residents, it is pertinent to note that an ideal marriage should have consent of both parties if it must succeed and stand the test of time. Ajibade Awofeso, Trust TV News, Owerri.
On the sidelines of the G77 plus China Leaders Summit, Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, has signed a memorandum of agreement on behalf of the federal government with Cuba on food security and agriculture advancement. The signing ceremony took place at the Ministry of Agriculture of Cuba in the presence of officials from both countries. During the pre-signing meeting, Senator Kyari lauded the willingness of Cuba's government to partner Nigeria, noting both countries share a common vision for their people. He also underlined Nigeria's demographic advantage, vast land resources, immense agricultural potential, promoting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's vision for food and nutrition security. Key areas of cooperation include veterinary medicine, vaccine development, artificial insemination, and the development of pastures and ranching as essential components in curbing the challenges posed by inefficient open grazing of cattle. Others are training, capacity building, and knowledge transfer as the cornerstone of any thriving agricultural economy. In his remarks, Cuba's Minister of Agriculture, Del Jesus Perez Brito, who signed the MOU, told the Nigerian delegation about the island nation's agricultural prowess, admitting that the country has over 500,000 hectares under cultivation and remains a global player in the export of tobacco, coffee, honey, and other commodities. Under the partnership, Nigeria will benefit from Cuba's agricultural capacity in areas such as bilateral relationship encompassing agricultural productivity, sustainability, knowledge sharing, and technology transfer. And now away from Nigeria, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have signed a mutual defense pact as the three Sahel countries aim to help each other against possible threats of armed rebellion or external aggression. The charter, known as the Alliance of Sahel States, binds the signatories to assist one another, including militarily, in the event of an attack on any one of them. The Liptako-Goma region, where the Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger borders meet, has been ravaged by armed rebellion in recent years. An armed rebellion that erupted in northern Mali in 2012 spread to Niger and Burkina Faso in 2015. 14 people on a small jet died when the plane crashed in Brazil's northern Amazonas state. The aircraft's pilot approached the tourist town of Barcelos in heavy rain with low visibility and appeared to inadvertently start landing halfway down the runway. The plane ran out of the landing strip and crashed. The region faces heavy rainfall, and the most likely cause of the accident was an error in the route taken at the time of landing. The Manos Aerotaxi airline issued a statement confirming there has been an accident and said it is investigating. It offered no details. And finally, in sports news, UFC flyweight champion Alexa Grasso retained her title with a draw in a rematch with Valentina Shevchenko. Grasso became Mexico's first female UFC champion when she beat the Kyrgyzstan-born fighter in March to win her title. Shevchenko was dropped with a right hand in the second of 5 rounds in Las Vegas before she bounced back with good work in the third. Both fighters were awarded a 48-47 win by one judge, appears, while the other scored in a draw. Carlos Sainz won the Singapore Grand Prix with a controlled drive for Ferrari that ended Max Verstappen and Red Bull's winning run. Sainz managed the race expertly from the front, while Verstappen fought back to 5th place after starting in 11th on a difficult weekend for Red Bull. Sainz led McLaren's Lando Norris and Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton nose to tail across the line after George Russell crashed out of the 3rd place on the last lap. Russell and Hamilton gambled on a late pit stop for fresh tires and charged back up to Sainz and Norris, but could not pass before Russell's late error. It was a dramatic climax to an intriguing race that ebbed and flowed throughout its close to 2-hour running time, with a safety car, a virtual safety car, and some close racing through the field, a fitting event to mark the ending of Verstappen's all-time record of 10 consecutive victories. Sainz's second winner for Ferrari after last year's British Grand Prix was the first time a Red Bull had failed to win since Russell won the penultimate race of last season in Brazil. And with that, we've come to the end of the News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all of our social media platforms for more news, documentary, and program. I'm Aisha Salihu. Thanks for your time.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.